Pro-life. This is perhaps the most important one. Because if you can tell where someone stands on the issue of life, you pretty much can tell where they're going to stand on every other issue. If they take the wrong stance regarding life, they're probably going to take stances that are wrong everywhere else. Pro-life. Where does God stand on the issue of pro-life? Thus says the Lord, your Redeemer, and the one who formed you from the womb. Psalm 22:10, upon you I was cast from birth. You have been my God from my mother's womb. Wait, just a clump of cells. You're just a clump of cells. But no. You have been my God from my mother's womb. As a human being. And the word of the Lord, Jeremiah 1:4-5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. Psalm 139:13-14. For you formed my inward parts. You wove me in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. As Moses said in Deuteronomy, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today. I set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Choose life in order that you may live. This principle does not begin when you're old enough to read this passage. Choose life in order that you may live. You and your descendants, your posterity, those who are still yet to make a public appearance. Choose life. Well, again, here's a nice illustration of clumps of cells in many stages as a woman goes from conception to old age. It is scientifically correct to say that an individual human life begins at conception, says this Dr. Matthews Ross, professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School. Trump is the most pro-life president ever. Yeah, you say that, but back it up. Okay, here we go. Ready? If he has a second term, he has promised to defund Planned Parenthood. If he has a second term, he promised to work toward passing the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, and the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. All those pieces of legislation he promises to attempt to move forward. Now, it depends on Congress, depends on the Senate, depends on the House of Representatives. So it's not just about the president, it's about down ballot as well, our senators and our congressmen, because these bills have already been voted down, which we'll talk about momentarily. Donald Trump is the first president to personally speak at the March for Life. Donald Trump has signed executive order protecting babies born alive. Couldn't get the legislation passed, so he drafted an executive order protecting babies born alive. What does that mean? If an abortion goes bad and the baby winds up being born and still alive, Donald Trump issued an executive order that you can't kill that baby that has been born of a botched abortion, which was under Obama, was the law. Botched abortion, kill the baby, right? Don't let the doctor's inability to fulfill the abortion stand in the way of infanticide. Donald Trump ended funding for overseas abortions. Your taxpayer dollars shouldn't go to fund overseas abortions. Donald Trump nominated 3 pro-life Supreme Court judges and 218 federal judges. That is an extraordinary gift that will keep on giving for the next 30 years at least. Donald Trump overturned Obama's rule that forced states, including Texas, to fund Planned Parenthood. Donald Trump defended the United Nations Population Fund. Again, our taxpayer money going to the United Nations, and they were paying for abortions. Donald Trump forced health insurance companies to disclose if the health plans actually cover abortion. If you did not want to pay for a plan that covered abortion, you now do not have to. It's there in writing. Donald Trump protected religious groups and employers from providing abortifacients. Remember Little Sisters of the Poor, these nuns that were forced to buy contraceptive, forced to have plans that included the payment of contraceptives, abortifacients. Donald Trump said that health care providers are protected from discrimination for objecting to participation in abortion. No doctor, no nurse has to participate in abortion now, thanks to Donald Trump. Donald Trump reinstated the Protect Life rule that prohibited the use of family planning funds for abortion. Family planning is separate from abortions. One is life-giving, one is death-giving. Donald Trump ended taxpayer-funded research using aborted babies, i.e. all that fetal tissue stuff, right? And Donald Trump clarified that abortion is not a civil right. He did all this within a 3.5-year period of time. The most pro-life president ever. Let's take a look at the other side. Biden would be the most pro-choice president ever, and that's saying something considering that we just came from President Barack Obama, who holds that title right now. Biden would take that title from him. Vice President Biden has told us that he would push for legislation making Roe into law. Vice President Biden committed to the constitutional right to an abortion. Find that in the Constitution. Well, activist judges found it. Biden, the Democratic Party platform states very clearly, we would, quote, we would repeal the Hyde Amendment. Hyde Amendment is that which keeps your tax dollars from paying for abortions. If you object to having tax dollars paying for abortions, it provided a wall. Well, we would repeal the Hyde Amendment and protect and codify Roe v. Wade. Again, pushing for legislation making Roe into law, so they never have to worry again if a Supreme Court judge is appointed that might rule against Roe. And would restore funding to Planned Parenthood and reverse Trump's pro-life actions. So all those reasons that Trump is the most pro-life, well, those would be reversed. Just like Trump reversed a ton of Obama's regulations, so too Biden would reverse Trump's, okay? From life to anti-life to death. A president standing for life to a president standing for death. But don't get too excited, because I don't think Vice President Biden, if he becomes president, would last too long. In the event that he is no longer going to be able to serve as president, perhaps Kamala Harris would be a worse pro-abortion president. That title would then go from Obama to Biden to Harris. Kamala, is currently the most pro-abortion senator, as well as graded the most liberal senator in the Senate, which out-liberals Bernie Sanders, if you can imagine. Harris voted against the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. So, in other words, she voted against criminalizing infanticide. And the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Act. The legislation was children in the womb can feel pain at 20 weeks. She said, oh, no, we're not allowing that little technicality of the baby being able to feel pain to interfere with a woman's right to having an abortion. Harris submitted a letter on behalf of Planned Parenthood opposing Amy Barrett's confirmation last week, the week before. Harris, again last week, criticized Barrett for signing 2006 and 2013 pro-life newspaper ads. The list continues. Harris believes abortion is, quote, health care, and, quote, essential to women's equality. Really? Nothing says you're equal as a woman like having an abortion. Planned Parenthood has, of course, matter of record, been a large donor to Harris's Attorney General and senatorial campaigns, and I dare say probably her vice presidential campaign as well. I do not know. Last point, then Attorney General Kamala Harris collaborated with Planned Parenthood to produce legislation to target David Daleiden and Sandra Merritt. Do you remember that expose, the hidden camera, we're selling fetal tissue, right? Planned Parenthood selling fetal tissue, selling the tissue of aborted babies for scientific research so the doctor can buy a Lamborghini? She made sure that David Daleiden was prosecuted